Welcome to the Pixel Scandal Nerdcast. I'm Kurt, and we have some lovely folks here with us to talk about nerd things and all that such. But before I get to them, I'd like to tell you about our social media stuff and how you can contact the show if you'd like to. So if you're interested in connecting with us on social media, you can find us on Twitch at pixel_scandal on Twitter, or Pixel Scandal on Facebook, I think. Maybe, probably not. Don't go there. Just go to Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. And then you get updates when we're going to go live and stuff. If you'd like to contact the show, you can do so at pixelscandal@gmail.com. And then someone might check that. And then maybe we'll talk about your email. If you're watching this and you're digging it, give us a follow on Twitch. We're currently trying to get, right there, we're trying to get up to 50 followers so we can get into that whole affiliate business. But now I'd like to introduce our fabulous cast. I'm going to start right down here. This lovely lady, why don't you give us an introduction?
Hi, I'm Gidget.
Over there to the fellow in red. There.
What's up, peeps? I am Hondor. And it's orange. It just looks red.
Oh, okay. And last but definitely not least.
Hello, I'm in the blind.
How's everybody doing today?
Good. Yeah.
Very good.
Awake.
Awesome.
I am tired.
Yeah, well, that too.
That's okay.
I'm awake but tired.
Yeah.
Well, cool. All right. Well, end of line. Do we have any announcements?
We do. So first thing, I'm going to kind of go backwards in time, reverse in time by order of importance here. May 25th, 6 p.m. is our follow-up episode 2 for Dungeon World.
Yay!
Had some good feedback on episode 1, and we'll be moving into episode 2.
And most of the sound issues should be fixed.
Yeah, a lot of the character generation piece is done, but it's never done with Dungeon World. So there'll be constant development of the world, the characters, but the kind of landscape and our characters, our adventurers, I should say, have started making their way into the world that they've created. So this next episode will be more of that piece. So that's May 25th at 6 p.m. Tomorrow at 4 p.m. we have our official Pixel Scandal game night. We are not sure what game it's going to be yet, which is kind of a trend now.
Yeah,
but
maybe we'll play some more Monster Prom.
Surprise!
Maybe we'll get a different cast and do some more Monster
Scandal
Prom.
Surprise game night.
Yeah, I like that.
It'll be tomorrow at 4 p.m. So come check us out.
My vote is we play Monster Prom again because that was super fun and you didn't get to play last time. So maybe you should play Monster Prom with us.
Yeah, if we have enough people.
Yeah, do it, man.
Next week we will not have a podcast on May 26th. Our the Pixel Scandal group has an annual ritual where we all go out and have our own little mini convention. We're super excited. That is next weekend, so we will actually be doing that. But we will return the following week.
And we will have lots of interesting stories to tell, I'm sure.
I am sure we will.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool. So what is everybody excited about? Anything coming up?
What's that?
What's everybody excited about?
Oh.
I'm excited about Deadpool.
Yeah.
I
think everyone's excited about Deadpool.
Absolutely.
I've tried to not look at reviews.
Mm-hmm.
But I have no self-discipline and I look at reviews.
I have not looked at reviews.
And it's supposed to be really, really good.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I get to see it today, or late tonight. Yay!
I should find out where y'all are going, because we haven't booked our tickets yet.
Well, we're going really late tonight.
Yeah, we gotta go to a wedding, and then
I'm not going with you guys.
Yeah, yeah. Not that you're not welcome, but
I'm not doing another late night.
No, yeah. Not that you're not welcome to come with us, but I'm pretty sure you wouldn't want to. Yeah. So, does anybody else have anything else they're excited about?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, guys.
Well, probably own personal interest. But we had mentioned Pantheon in the back, and I think it's for those of you who have watched this kind of know I'm an EverQuest super nerd. But Pantheon, the MMO that's coming out whenever, it's in pre-alpha right now, and it's going to be moving into alpha. Hopefully by end of third or fourth quarter of this year. They just started doing official class reveals. So if you go to pantheonmmo.com, you can actually see reveals. They've started with Rogue and Ranger and Monk. Two of those I have totally not played in alpha because I have an NDA and I wouldn't be able to do that. But you should check them out. If you have any interest in playing a very old school centric risk versus reward MMO, like EverQuest was, with very modern twists and quality of life stuff on top of it, this is going to be a big game for me personally. But I think there are other people that are kind of like interested in it enough to be like, that could be cool. Yeah. If you're in any of those boats, go check out the class reveals. I think it'll be very interesting.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
And then as far as Deadpool goes, I'm really looking forward to Steve.
What?
Peter, sorry.
I was like, Steve?
Peter.
Oh, yeah.
Something I was excited about as our token girl was the royal wedding, which I totally woke up and like watched it on my phone this morning. I know, don't make that face at me. Yeah, so that was something I was excited about that I totally watched because, you know, I'm the group's girl, so, you know.
Kid was talking about that over breakfast, so I was like, I'm just gonna walk out. I could not possibly give less shits.
I know zero about the royal wedding.
So here's the thing that I think is interesting about this. I was talking to my grandmother about this yesterday, and she made a really good point, which is that the royal family in the last couple decades hasn't filled the kind of monarch role kind of thing in a really long time, but the role that they have filled is like this beacon of hope kind of thing. Like when good things happen to them or they have a big event or whatever, it's like uplifting to people to watch like, oh, there's still good things in the world. And so, you know, that was the point that my grandmother was making yesterday when I was talking to her about it, is that with all the dark things that are going on, it's still nice to see that people fall in love and get married, and, you know, commoners can become princesses and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
I thought that was kind of a sweet thing to make a point about the royal wedding. You may not care about the royal wedding itself, but the I don't know, I think the idea behind it is kind of sweet. So
I'm gonna paraphrase Bill Burr talking about royalty and him touring over there.
Okay.
He says, basically, essentially, like I said, I'm paraphrasing. Do not.
Of course.
This is nice, right? He says, "I will never call some other person lord or queen or, you know." He says, "Fuck that," you know, and I'm not gonna be Sir Knight Bill Burr. So I don't know. I think he's hilarious, and I
think it's funny when people say that, though, because if he was actually confronted with the Queen of England, I'm pretty sure he would be like, "Holy shit, that's the Queen," and then treat her like a queen. Like, you know, so. It's all one thing to like talk like that, and then you're like presented with that actual person,
and if you are in a position to get close enough to the Queen and you're a dick to the Queen, like. I feel like she's got a lot of guards. Like, sure, there's the respect of this figure of their country and the political figure that she is and the symbol that she is. But then also, like, that place is full of guards. Like, what are you gonna walk up and be like, "Bitch, I'm not feeling it"? Like, no, that's not gonna happen.
The reason he brought that up is because he toured there, and then she became a fan, and this wasn't. I'm not talking about England or anything like that. I'm talking about like another country that actually had the same
like a monarch system.
Yeah, and she ended up going on his show here in the U.S. and she said, one of the guards or whoever, I don't know, was like, listen, you're gonna have to call her queen, and he's like, bullshit. Not on my show, not in the U.S. I don't.
I'm sorry, but Sir Patrick Stewart is Sir Patrick Stewart, and Dame Judi Dench is Dame Judi Dench, and I'm gonna call them that because they're amazing and they deserve those titles.
Yeah.
All right. Well, moving along. I'm sure everybody's tired of hearing about the stupid royal wedding.
The royal wedding.
We shouldn't make people listen to us talk about that. So, what has everyone been playing recently?
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Well, you have an excuse. You have a note from the doctor, or not really the doctor.
A note from the office.
You have a note from the office that says Tyler can't play video games this week. Please excuse him.
Yeah, I haven't played a video game in 2 weeks, so I've got a lot of catching up to do this weekend.
Yeah. I played Kingdom Death last night with Orestes and Night Sun, and damn, that game is it feels like it could be my style of game if we played it slightly different. So there's a lot of like story elements, and there's a lot of weird events that happen to the characters, and you're like building a town, and I feel like there would be a lot more RP, like with different, depending on the group. But then like the other side of it is it's kind of like a grindy, like you want to get XP and get more loot and
Minis
hunt
combat.
monsters. It's all just like boss fight board game. Like you just say, okay, we're going to go find a boss and kill him. So it's still fun, but there were times when it's like, okay, well, we're not sure. Like, I don't know. It was weird. Every once in a while,
a battle simulator.
Yeah, it's a battle simulator, but every once in a while, weird ass events will happen, and that's what's good about it. Like that's the fun part for me. So my character died. Spoilers. We didn't record it, so it doesn't matter.
But how did he die?
We were fighting the Butcher, which is like some big nasty dude with meat cleavers who uses people's faces as lantern skin or some shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're fighting this guy, and I became his priority target, and he ran at me and bit my face 3 times. And in that game, normally when you take damage, you have like armor and like little hit point boxes that check off. Like you have like 1 or 2. And then you start rolling on these charts to see what bad shit happens to you if you go over your little armor or hit points. And when he bites your face, you don't take damage, you just roll on the chart. So the first time that I rolled on the chart, I lost my lower jaw and had to eat all my meat through a straw. And so like, but I couldn't, there's a mechanic in the game called consume where you have to, like, there's consumable items and things but you can't consume without your lower jaw. So with that disability, I couldn't consume anymore. Then the next time I rolled, I got gluttony, and I could only find happiness by consuming. And so I wasn't allowed to leave town if I didn't have a consumable in my pack, but I can't eat it. Like, I can't use it, so it's useless. It's just, it had to fill 1 slot in my pack, and I can't be happy because I can only be happy by consuming, and I can't consume because I'm missing my jaw.
So basically, you just have like a piece of
fuck rolled.
Right.
So
then basically, you have like a piece of meat.
Because he hit me 3 times in that thing, so I just did them in order.
So basically, you have a piece of meat that you're just like
just
jamming
licking it,
at your
like
face hole.
sad licking
you
this
can't
piece
actually.
of meat. Is the worst. And then so.
What he's leaving out, though, and I spoke to Night Sun this morning, what Kurt is leaving out is that every character has an attribute. And Kurt's character's attribute was face is delicious. And
So anyway, so the third one...
It was bound to happen.
Yeah. So the third one was your head explodes. He popped my head like a grape. So we had this awesome, like, we built this little story around this guy who can only lick meat and he's sad. And then his head exploded, like, seconds later. He bit my head off, and it was so sad. I really wanted to play this sad guy who couldn't get any joy because his jaw was missing.
Can't talk.
And now, if you're ever having a bad day at work, just imagine you could have had your jaw ripped off, been forced to lick meat for consumption, and then have your head explode. It could always be worse.
That's the best way to do it.
That is the moral of the story. It could always be worse.
Like, eat the meat, I have to lick the protein. So sad. He's crying. He's like, I want to eat it.
Yep.
So basically, you're like a wolf in the early 1920s when they made the salt lick blocks out of with the ice.
Yeah.
Put the razor down the center of the salt block, the ice block.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and
that's not good.
Kurt was telling me that one of the other people that was playing got a what are they called?
What do you mean?
Well, she got a thing where she was afraid of the dark.
Herpes.
She got herpes. No, she got afraid of the dark, an attribute afraid of the dark, through having to roll on a table. And so they'd already decided that character wasn't going to go on hunting missions anymore because you can't stay out after dark to hunt. And then also got her head popped like a grape. So it all worked itself out.
Ate her head off too.
This
I felt really bad for Night Sun's character because he didn't die, but he was building for bows, and you can't move and shoot in the same round if you use a bow. And he got a disorder where he has to move every round because he's twitchy.
Oh no!
Nice.
That's like the worst first game ever.
Yeah, putting it together after the battle and trying to figure out what the fuck just happened with all these disorders.
Yeah.
That's the best part for me.
That's hilarious. The first time we played it, we so you start with nothing, no civilization, and through the game you build your civilization, and so we got our first words, which happened to be "what the fuck." That was our civilization's first words.
Those were our first words.
Those were our first words. So
that seems legit considering what you guys have.
Yeah, that's kind of life in this.
Foreshadowing almost.
Right. Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, cool. What else have we been playing? Anybody else have anything?
So here's the thing. We have been talking about collectively behind the scenes playing Sea of Thieves because it looks amazing. It looks like a game that we would all really enjoy. Well, one of our other Pixel Scandal members who's more of a he's not as regular, Rando. Him and I have been playing World of Warcraft so much. And
he's the one, if you watch any of our video games, he's the one fucking with everybody.
Yeah.
He's the troll.
He's the troll in all of our games.
Yes. He's the one always causing problems. He's the one that End of Line is always going, God
damn
we're not
it,
able
Randall.
to finish this game, guys, if we had So we have been playing for 2 weeks, or a week. I would say a week, hardcore in WoW, really getting shit done. The wake up, or go to work, come home from work, log right in, do shit, and then you're kind of get a little burnt out. So he ended up gifting me. I got home yesterday and gifted me Sea of Thieves. And we played Sea of Thieves, I think, until 6 a.m. Oh. It's just, I don't know what it is about, as soon as I got on the boat in the game, I'm immersed. The music is amazing. The water looks incredible. I started accidentally being arr, skip me sails and port me forward. Starboard bound. And I just
shouting random ship terms.
Yeah. I don't even know. Yeah, I have no idea what I'm saying. I've never been a pirate. I've never cosplayed a pirate. I don't even know. And I'm like.
You don't talk like a pirate on Pirate Day.
No, never. And I'm so excited every time we get loot, and I'm like, our boat is full, and our bellies rum and har, and the wind is at our back. Let's sail. I just, I couldn't help it. The game is, it's as repetitive as it is right now, with just killing skeletons and collecting treasures. and then taking it back to port. It's so fun just opening the sail and having control of that what do you call that?
Boat.
Well, the wheel that boats have. I can't remember what's called.
Dude, I don't know. I don't know shit about boats.
The
It's fun.
issue that we've always had with Sea of Thieves is not Sea of Thieves. It's just
Right, of
not a
course.
fully fleshed out game yet. It's
Yeah.
not a $50 title.
60. I think it's 60, isn't it?
It's
Wow.
not a $60 title. It's a $30 title at most.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no doubt that the game's going to develop into something phenomenal, but it's not a AAA first party title, and they're pricing it as if it is. And I'm not going to pay $60 for an incomplete game experience.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Except for the
But-
fact that
There's promise there for sure. People are
Mhm.
liking the game, and every time I said that to people, they're just like, "You're a hater," and it's like, no, I think it's probably a phenomenal game. It's just not a $60 game.
right, yeah,
When it gets down to 30, I will. Knightson and I have both said when they bring the price down to a more reasonable price that is correlates to the actual gameplay, we'll 100% pick it up.
Yeah. Well, I don't even feel even remotely bad about, spending randos money.
Well, yeah, you didn't pay for it.
So, I feel very happy with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lokio's asking if we're talking about the mast. I don't think the mast is the part that holds the sail in the center of the ship,
Yeah,
that-
no,
yeah,
I'm
what's
talking
the
about the
wheel?
actual steering wheel.
like the wheel. I think
Isn't
it's
it
just called a
a
wheel.
I think it's just.
I feel like that's not right. I don't know.
I feel like we have the
It's
internet in
called-
front of
it's
us,
called
but
a
it's
wheel.
funnier to just puzzle it out.
No, Google has already weighed in on this.
I was
It's
gonna say,
called
it
It's
doesn't
called
lie.
a wheel.
or the wheel.
Oh, well, fucking.
There you go. The wheel.
There you go.
Steering wheel. It's a wheel.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we move into our spotlight topic? And
Sure.
Handor, why don't you take it?
Oh, okay. So I think everyone would agree in culture that in pretty much any facet, sports, movies, especially with the onset of Deadpool, Avengers, and the Hulk, and so on and so forth, you'll find that you could associate certain people with a certain title. I'm not saying I do this, or that I that I look down upon this at all or whatever. But they're the bandwagon people.
So before we get too deep into this topic, I'm going to posit that not everyone on here agrees, and so we are going to probably argue a bit back and forth
Kurt.
once you
I
get
can't
that
hear
out.
Yeah, you cut out real bad.
You
there.
cut out.
You cut now.
Okay. I would like to put out there that not everyone is going to agree. Not everyone on here agrees on this topic, so we're probably going to argue about it once we get into. But go ahead, Matt. Tell us about it.
So, I've always, I grew up in Michigan. I've always been a fan of, U of M, college football. I've always been a fan of, Detroit Lions, Detroit Tigers. Now, let me preface this with some, I'm telling you all the teams that I've always been a fan of. And I understand that I'm destroying my own argument later. But I truly understand how ridiculous it is to be a diehard fan of a college team or a pro team,
Mm-hmm.
and then because of a team's history, instantly hate all the other rivalry teams. Like I play the sport, like I fought.
Like
for
you're on that
you know,
team?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have any part of that whatsoever.
Yeah. Hey, but I think most people do that when you're into sports, that you become a fan of something and you're invested in it, even though you're not actually on the team. That's what being a fan is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you pick up those pick up other people's aggressions and stuff when it comes to rivalries.
Crowd
And I feel like
mentality.
yeah, absolutely. And I feel like that's so applicable to Deadpool because that's coming out. And I remember playing early on when they started having the click figures. I can't remember who really made it big. I used to go over to Chicago and play it, but they ended up
HeroClix?
No, it was before HeroClix. They actually went under.
Oh.
Yeah. I played that a lot. Had probably like $2,000 into the game.
That's insane.
You were the only one keeping them afloat.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, apparently. Because when I quit, that's when they were like, "Oh, no more revenue." So then I got into HeroClix. So whenever around about that was, I got really into Doctor Doom and Deadpool. I'm like, Deadpool's a cool. This guy's amazing. I love this guy. That was my introduction to him.
Yeah.
And I started feeling this. Like,
That
crazy
loyalty
fandom of Deadpool that I have to U of M and I have to the Detroit Lions, and I can't help but sometimes feel a little bit like there are some bandwagoners when it comes to the first Deadpool. When I see people say like, oh, my favorite hero is the Hulk. Well, yeah, Hulk's amazing. I can understand that. And then Ryan spoils that they're making Deadpool, and then my Facebook feed is just all the same people who are fanatical Hulk fans saying Deadpool is the greatest of all time. And I'm going, okay, really? You sure? All right.
So our overall topic is getting on a bandwagon of something that becomes very pop culture, right? And so I think especially in, I think your sports analogy really works. And
All
I
right,
think
now you're cutting out.
Yeah, it's cutting out real bad.
I think it's going through the stream probably, because it's going through into OBS, but Discord maybe.
Just move my mic a little closer. Maybe
Oh,
it's just not
okay.
picking me up. But I think that the sports analogy really works in this case because people jumping on the bandwagon of a team that's winning and then dropping them the next year when another team wins. And so the same thing can be said for nerd culture that becomes very pop culture. So at one time it was comic book characters and things related to that, and it becomes these big budget movies, and now all these other fans come in. And so I can see how someone who is a fan of the original stuff would feel like it's bandwagoning. And I get what you're saying about like, this is my favorite superhero or this is my favorite whatever, and then this movie does really well and they're like, this is my favorite superhero and this is my favorite whatever. And so that's kind of our topic today is, getting on the bandwagon of a pop culture craze and whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah. No, I honestly, my main feeling on this is just let people like things. If someone wants to like a thing, let them like a thing. I understand wanting to like feeling ownership over a thing because you've liked it for a long time, or you've invested a lot of energy into this subculture or sports team or whatever the thing is. But I feel like excluding people because of that or driving people away because you're afraid that they're gonna ruin your thing is like that's the like toxic side of this argument. And then the other side, I'm curious to see, Handor, if there's like, is there another side to this, right? Like, is there a non don't take my thing side to this argument of like why you wouldn't want people jumping on a bandwagon? I mean, I have some thoughts on it, but I'll wait to hear what everybody thinks.
Sure, yeah. Did you want to add something, Enderline?
Okay, so over game fandom for a long time, I've seen this tons of times.
Mm-hmm.
I think it has I think there are multiple layers to this. I think one, if I'm going to oversimplify it, I think people just instinctively don't like change. They get very comfortable in the way that things are, and when things change radically, or a lot more people are exposed to something, it kind of diminishes the uniqueness that something has for them. And it's like, well, I like a thing, and it's like kids in the music. It's like there's always like the big meme, right, with the like, oh, this band is so underground, right? Like, listen to this band 'cause it's so underground. Well, when they're not underground anymore, they're like, oh man, they're so mainstream. You listen to them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
They
that
sold out.
mentality. Yeah, they sold out. It's like that mentality, like, well, I only like them because I feel like I'm in this niche group, this niche community that I'm a part of. And once that uniqueness is stripped away, I don't see the value of it anymore. And we were talking offline briefly about this, but like, I'm not like a super fan or anything. I'm just a fan. I like the music and whatnot. But there's a band out there called Ghost, which is like a super theatrical, like arena rock metal band thing. If you like that kind of music, check them out. But they're very theatrical and they have like very evil undertones, like, or actually overtones, I should say.
Yeah.
But you know, it's all in fun for the most part. Well, anyway, so this band's been really popular, but not like mainstream popular. And they have a new album coming out, and the new music got released. Like 2 of the new singles got released, and it's very like mainstreamish radio kind of music. Like it's gonna do well amongst like more people than just this small subset of people who've loved their music for like 8 years. And so I'm on a fan group for the band, and like people are losing their shit.
Yeah.
They're like, oh no, like they sold out, and there's gonna be so many people coming in and being fans, and there's like it's gonna diminish what they've enjoyed because there's this one song being released that just doesn't fit the mold that they expected them to. And it's just like, if you like their music before, love their music. But if you don't like this new music, that's okay too.
Yeah.
But the problem I have is when you like the old music and you like the new music, but you're frustrated because more people are going to like the new music, like them because of the new music. I can't process that at all. Like, heaven forbid a band that you've enjoyed for so long is going to be more successful. And I don't know. It's really strange. And
It's
like
very
he brought
selfish.
he brought the Avengers thing. Yeah, it's like having someone say, well, you know, hey, I'm not really into comics, but I really like these Marvel movies, and having a nerd say, you're not a real fan. Like, you never read the comics. You know what I mean? It's like, who gives a shit?
It's kind of hipstery about it.
Yeah, just be thankful that this generation's getting exposed to that content that otherwise wouldn't have to. Like, Infinity Wars I was one of those people. It was, and I'm not saying, again, I'm not one of those people that is just going to say this. In fact, before these movies were ever slated, I would have said this, and I have. But Infinity Wars were my favorite series of comic books back in the day. Like, I did Ghost Rider, I liked Spawn, the original TMNT. But
Spawn was great.
But Infinity Wars, that particular series of Marvel, was my jam. I loved that whole series. And so when I found out there was a movie, Nightson and I like geeked out over it, right?
Yeah.
If a kid came and said, hey, I've never read any of the comics, but I think it's really cool, I'd be like, that's awesome. I am so glad you're getting to like see all this, because it's such a monumental phase of comic history. But I'm not going to be like scoffing at them because, yeah, I'm sure you like it. It's not, you know, like, that's shitty. It's just, I'm sorry, that's just shitty. It's just shitty.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Like you said, just let them enjoy it.
So you guys are all singing "Let It Go" by Unfrozen. What's your take, Gidget?
on what?
On? So would you say that it's, you know, let it go, let people enjoy it?
I mean, to a point, I think if it already exists and it's bringing people joy, you know, let it go. Let them enjoy their thing.
So everyone's doing the Frozen thing. That's fine.
Right. We're all doing the Frozen thing.
So
My problem though isn't that. I think once it's made, you have to kind of just let it go because it's out there and people are going to consume and like the things they like. For me, I'm kind of like, I'm fine with people getting on the bandwagon once the thing's made. But for me, when I love something and then they turn it into something else, I feel like it loses something that it originally had, whether it's a book or a comic book or whatever it is. And part of that is, for me, now in my head, I picture the actor who played that character and the way they portrayed that character rather than the way I had originally thought of them through the graphic novel I was reading or the book I was reading, the novelization of something. It's like now that character it's like, let's talk about Harry Potter. You know, Daniel Radcliffe is Harry Potter, right? Like, in everyone's head, when you picture what Harry Potter looks like, it looks like Daniel Radcliffe growing up. Sure. But I don't think that's what everyone necessarily pictured in their head of Harry Potter, right? And other books and other things are like that as well, where I think it's great that people get into a thing that I love, because that I love that someone that I love is getting successful and getting the accolades that they deserve for creating something great that obviously I loved.
Yeah.
But once they make it into a pop culture thing above and beyond what it originally was, a movie, a TV show, whatever, that's when I feel like it kind of loses something, because now it's associated with those actors. Maybe they change the story a little bit to make it more consumable through visual arts rather than through the graphic novel or the book itself. So it's not that I have a problem people getting on the bandwagon and consuming once it's created, but there's a little bit of that, like, we could just leave that in the comic book, or we could just leave it as a book and it would be okay, because I enjoyed it that way. Everyone else should read it too. And so I think that's where my line in that is.
I think you're here's the thing. I think you're talking about two completely separate things here. I think there's one thing to say about people bandwagoning on something just because it's trendy and cool and whatnot. But I don't think there's anything wrong with being critical about something being made from content to another piece of content and being critical of what it changed into. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, if I read a book and I see a movie and it's drastically changed, and there's changing something because it doesn't translate well into a movie and you have to, and then there's changing things for the sake of changing things where it doesn't add to but it actually detracts from,
like Ready Player One.
I'll be critical as shit about that. Like, it's a bad call. And I expect if you're going to take this content and decide to move it into another media, I like reading books. I like seeing books being made into movies. I can appreciate that things have to change, but it needs to be because it's necessary, not arbitrary. And some movies are shitty in compared to the books because they make arbitrary creative decisions that were bad decisions.
Well, I think that's where people I think that's where people who were like, oh, I was a fan of this thing before they made it into the pop culture thing, end up sounding hipstery or what, like, oh, I was a fan before it was popular. That's where you start to sound douchey about something, where that's not what you well, and maybe it's not what you necessarily are trying to say. You're not saying, well, I read the book, so obviously I'm better than you because I didn't. That's not what you're trying to say. You're just saying that, oh, I enjoyed the book more than what they turned it into. But it can come out sounding like...
Would I be a douchey meme lord if I said the Super Mario Brothers movie sucked?
I'm pretty sure everyone agrees.
Am I being like trendy and hipstery?
No, we have to...
No, it's because it was a fucking awful movie and it had nothing to do with the video game.
Everyone concedes that. So here's the ultimate point to bandwagoning, right? So I'm not arguing any sort of elitism in my nerddom area or my bubble or whatever, or claiming stake upon like Panic at the Disco before they were famous or that type of thing. What I'm saying is I'm no psychology major or anything. Not that I know anybody that is or anything either. So, but I do know this. There was a famous Polish man who studied conformity, and he had very controversial studies. And one of his less controversial studies was having understudies go out in busy streets and have one of them just look up at the sky and watch how many people would stand behind them and just look up at the sky, right? Okay, I'm not saying that you're not allowed to watch my Deadpool. I'm not saying you're not allowed to root for my Detroit Lions while you the whole time have been a New Orleans fan. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is it's dumb. Okay,
I'm going to use
Can I just point out that it's look.
I think your irritation, Matt. I'm going to tell you what your frustration is. I'm going to summarize it.
Let me tell you what's wrong with you.
No. It's not what's wrong with Matt. I don't think there's anything wrong with Matt in this. I think the issue that people have is when people pretend like they've been fans of something forever, and they're just sudden fans of something.
Yeah.
I'm going to use a very touchy subject that I experienced in high school that kind of sums up people's reality with this. We had a kid that unfortunately passed away in high school when I was in, I think, a junior. He had a car accident and he passed away. He was a nice guy. I didn't know him very well. But what I will say is after that whole tragedy had occurred, everyone was coming out of the woodwork like they were his bestie. They were tight. They spent time. They never said 2 words to each other, but they were suddenly best friends. Like, he was a wonderful guy. I really loved him. We were really close. No, you weren't. And it's not that I feel like these people were bad people. I think it's just an instinctual reaction to want to be a part of something that's going on. A tragedy happened. It was very sad. And instinctively, they want to be a part of that. I think that's what happens here. Like, obviously, that's a much more macabre situation than this. But I think the situation kind of applies. I think it's a human nature thing to want to be a part of what's going on. If there's something that is being active, being talked about, there's buzz around it, you instinctually just want to be a part of that. And so people will jump on the bandwagon. But I think the frustration for you is not necessarily in your specific case. I'm not upset that people are loving Deadpool, that they think the movie's great, because it is, and it's a funny, and it's great. But it's people that say, yeah, I just love these were the best. I've loved them forever. And then 6 months ago, they've never even fucking had an idea of who Deadpool was. Like, they had no.
Well, yeah, and even 6 months from now, when they come out with, they release like a fantastic. I'm trying to think, and I'm brain farting, but just a comic book character that hasn't been released yet, right?
Captain
So they come
Marvel.
out with
Captain Marvel.
Captain
no,
Marvel.
I don't like Captain Marvel, but yeah, most
But
people
the
have
movie
never
could
heard
be
of Captain
fantastic.
Marvel. The movie could be amazing, but
Yeah, and you're gonna have
Black Panther is an interesting one because it's complete opposite. Black Panther was always amazing, but very lesser known.
Right.
There are probably racial reasons why, unfortunately, but let's be honest. But Black Panther was always an amazing fucking comic, an amazing character, and the
how about
whole
that fucking
story-
cartoon?
Yeah, Kurt and I watched the
Storm-
entire Black Panther cartoon series, and that thing is
it's so
fucking
good.
amazing.
It's
If you
so
got
fucking
like,
good.
if you watch the
Don't
movie,
know, and
go
I would
watch that
love to say
cartoon.
that's
It's
not
amazing.
racially motivated, but honestly, it probably is.
do.
But if you haven't read the Black Panther comics, I would say that's awesome. If people say, "Hey, the movie was awesome," and it was, go read the fucking comics. Like, you're gonna be kind of amazed.
Right.
Yeah.
And then go read the Storm Saga stuff too, while you're at it.
Right.
So,
but it's good. It's good. The outcome's good.
So I think it would be better if people were more comfortable of saying, like, hey, I had never heard of this thing before, and now that I have watched it, I really like it, instead of being like, oh, yeah, I've loved this forever, and, that kind of thing.
Oh, sorry.
Pandora's been waiting forever.
Go ahead.
I was just going to throw this in there. Number one, shout out to Seth MacFarlane for End of Line bringing up Spawn.
I'm pretty sure he watches the show.
Yeah.
Well,
Totes.
you guys don't know? You guys didn't know that? He wrote me.
That's the only thing I'm sad about when people talk about Black Panther as the first Black. It's like, bitch, Spawn. Sorry.
Or
and
Blade.
Don't come around with my Blade bullshit.
Yeah.
Spawn.
Yeah, Spawn was
Spawn and
legit,
Blade.
Man. So the second thing is to, I guess, kind of polish this thing up is, like I said, I just think that, like, the whole conformity thing is silly. And in 6 months from now, when they do come out with Captain Marvel, and I go, Captain Marvel is my favorite character, you guys can call me on my bullshit, right? Don't tell me you won't, because you will.
Well, who cares? Look, here's the thing.
Not if it is at the
Tastes fucking
time.
change. Like, why would you?
Yeah, I don't care.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect my life if you like a thing or don't like a thing and say you like a thing. Like, the reason you're doing it could affect my life, right? Like, if you were trying to get into something by saying, oh, well, I've always known about this, trust me, I'm an authority on this subject, and then it comes out that you don't know anything about it, presenting yourself as an authority on a subject when you don't know anything about it, sure, that's a shit move, and don't do that. But,
and you're going to get your shit called out on that.
But don't feel like you have to hide your like for something just because you just found it.
Right.
Just don't tell. Here's the problem. Just don't say they were always my favorite and I always knew. Like,
that's the big difference,
don't
right?
be that person. Just say, hey, I wasn't familiar with it and it's amazing and I love it now.
Yeah, it's great.
Fine.
There's a massive difference between saying that, that was a fantastic movie, or now I'm interested in going to read all the comics. That's what I did with Deadpool.
Well, but I mean,
when I was, and then
I'm gonna ask you a question, Matt. So you love Deadpool? Have you read the Deadpool series where he gets the Infinity Gauntlet?
No,
Blow
I
your
have not.
fucking mind.
I have not.
Well,
I'm still
now you have some homework
I'm still trying to
because he
collect.
does get the Infinity Gauntlet.
I'm still trying to collect.
Spoiler, sorry.
Yeah. Well,
I'm pretty
honestly, it doesn't
sure.
matter.
I'm pretty sure they're not going to write that in. So I think you're safe.
But do go read them.
Well, yeah, I'm still trying to collect this. Get like everything.
Mhm.
So I think, yeah, like you said, you have to be careful about what you say. And Kurt, what I guess the big thing is the between what you said and what I'm saying is this. I think the to chop off silliness is yes. If you claim to be an authority on something, or make certain claims, then you end up on this side where you've said something stupid. But what you guys are saying is that becoming a new fan of something, or like taste buds, they like change like every so many years or whatever, and what was my favorite microbrew 5 years ago is not my favorite new microbrew today, and I understand that. But remember, if I specifically say that Deadpool is or if I make the claim that Deadpool will always be my favorite comic, or he will always be my favorite comic book character, then I've made the mistake, right? I've made the mistake of now looking. I just think
You've painted
silly.
yourself into a very narrow, you can never say that you love another character or another comic book character because you've now put a quantifier on your love for Deadpool.
Absolutely, and Yeah, I think going down that avenue, I think there's so many people that do that, especially with the onset of new movies, the Avengers, and when Hulk, and they did it well, as opposed to when they had a great actor that didn't do it so well.
By the way, what is the seal on talking about the Avengers? I don't know what the time frame is.
Okay, well let's do it. So let's talk
can
about the
figure that
Avengers, but let's wait and we'll say okay, from now until the end of the episode is Avengers talk, and then people can stop listening if they haven't seen it.
I was more point saying our next podcast. We have a week off. I think by the next podcast, I think the seal
the
has been
moratorium is off.
Well, and we should probably put that in the description of the episode on the next one. From now on, Avengers spoilers.
About Avengers.
Yeah, because there was some stuff.
Nightson and I had a nerdgasm.
Well, we'll come back to your gasm later. Getting back on topic here, I think, and kind of going along the lines of what you were saying, Handor, is for me, Doctor Who. So I came into Doctor Who kind of later, even into the new series. It was almost the end of David Tennant's run as the Doctor. It was his second to last season before I even got into Doctor Who and went back and watched all the new stuff. And then because I love that, I went back and watched the really old stuff and loved it. And then as it continued to move forward, I was like, I love Doctor Who. Doctor Who is the best thing in the whole world. And then they changed doctors, and I was like, at first I was like, oh, Matt Smith, I don't know if I like him, because, I hate change. But
everyone had that initial impression.
Right, but then very quickly, I loved him as the Doctor. The change was hard for me, but I loved the story. I loved the characters. It was fantastic. And I was still a great big fan of Doctor Who. And then he changed.
David Tennant's still the best.
I am 100% with you. I don't know if you can see it in the picture, but I have him in his 3D glasses back there. Anyway, but then he changed again, and I had that same I don't like change. I don't like Peter Capaldi. And that never went away. I never liked the new Doctor, and I can still say for myself, I love Doctor Who. I love that whole universe. I love that character. I don't like what they just did with my thing that I love, and I'm super excited that he's regenerating into a new character, a new person. And I don't care that it's changing into a girl. I'm just excited that it's not going to be the current actor anymore. So much so that I still haven't watched the last 3 episodes of the last season, and that's not me at all with Doctor Who. But they messed with my thing that I loved and changed it into something I didn't like, but that didn't change the fact that I still love the thing. So it's you could say that Deadpool is your favorite comic book character and you love him, and then you go see Deadpool and you're like, ooh, I didn't like Deadpool 2. And that doesn't mean that you don't still love Deadpool as your favorite comic book character. You don't like what they just did with the thing that you loved.
That's an important distinction.
Yeah, well, again, though, what End of Line said earlier, I think, Gidget, you're so incapable of being biased and subjective that you've gone down another path of kind of like a subtopic of what we're.
I keep jumping off topics over here.
Yeah, like to make your point, you're using objectivity, and I just can't follow you. I'm not.
So, by the way, you and I are on the exact same wavelength. I was told about Doctor Who by my friend Doug for years, and I never checked it out because it's just like it's old and I'm not really into it. And then I saw David Tennant and I was fucking hooked, and I watched them all. And then I got to the latest season, and it just didn't. It wasn't Doctor Who for me. Like, it was too radical of a personality change for me.
Right. Yeah.
I think the closest distinction I can make with that, with a small change, which was I'm sorry, this isn't even a good example, but the closest thing I can come to with that is like, because I loved House, and I'm trying to think back of all these shows that I really enjoyed, but none of those characters change. The only thing I can think of is Veronica Mars. I was obsessed. Oh, so obsessed with Veronica Mars.
So good.
And I felt like
I think it was the third season.
Yeah. Oh yeah. When it started really like
whatever the last season was ultra mega burning garbage, like on fire.
Oh no. I don't think there was any season of Veronica Mars that was bad. It was the movie that was
when they came back.
Massive letdown.
Like, you really wanted it. You really wanted to see the movie. You watched it, and you were like, come on, be good. And then you were like, oh.
I needed closure so badly. I had, like, a real life, like, life-altering affinity for Kristen Bell. Like, when she got married...
You and Orestes.
when she got married to Dax Shepard, I was like, you fucking son of a bitch. But he's so funny.
And it makes you think you could have a chance, because Dax Shepard is such a fucking...
Yeah, because he's crazy.
Nerd goofball.
Right, but he's also super friggin' awesome. Like, if you see him in interviews and
stuff.
By the way, he has a podcast.
Dude. Yeah, he does. He just started. Yeah, he
just started, and it's actually pretty funny. It's very candid.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah,
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. Which, by the way,
with his wife.
Yes.
And they're bitching at each other the whole time.
I love it.
They're great.
I love their
sounds
fake
like,
fighting.
Yep, this is a relationship.
That's marriage.
Yeah.
That's marriage, straight up. It's
They're
funny
great.
as hell, though. Because she's so outward, too.
Yeah, for sure. And just FYI, Dax Shepard and Kristen Bell, I believe, are both from Michigan. So.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure they watch the show, too.
That's why you felt like you had a chance with her, because she's from your state. And you're like, oh.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, we are coming up on our hour mark here, and I just wanted to give everybody one last chance to say anything on our spotlight topic for today. Any closing thoughts?
Let people like things, as Kurt said.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like moral of the story...
it about you.
Yeah.
Let people...
Yeah.
Okay, look, dude, can we understand that I agree with that, right?
Okay. Okay, so here's the flip side, right? Like, if you're new to a fandom and you love this fucking thing, don't feel like you have to pretend to be an authority on it to be part of that community, right?
In fact,
you come in, tell us you want more information. We will give you more information.
Going back to last week's episode of being inclusive, that's exactly it, right? If you love something and you want to know more, find your local nerd and talk to him.
Find a nerd, just grab him off the street and just be like, "Tell me about Deadpool."
There's nothing more that I like whenever we get a new person playing EverQuest in our guild, and I get to like show them the way.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's like, let me show you all the reasons that I love this game that no one else loves.
Right. Now, wouldn't it
But
be
like,
totally...
if you come to me and say, yeah, man, I've been playing EverQuest for years, I know everything, and I find out you're full of shit, we're gonna have problems, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Throw down.
But on the flip side, oh, go ahead, man.
I was just gonna say, that's my whole point. It's silly. It's dumb. Don't do it.
But it's sacred. It's a sacred thing. It's the sacred cow.
And I think the more you care about a thing, the more you care about whether or not someone is trying to be an authority on a thing when they're not. Like, if you don't really care about a thing, you're like, meh, all right, well, obviously I know you're full of shit, but who cares? But if it's something you love, it's really hard to listen to someone blow smoke up your skirt.
Well, okay.
Yes.
If you're that person, if you're the person who loves the thing, do not prejudge someone because they're wearing a Deadpool shirt and an Ed Hardy hat.
Oh,
Like, give them. Well, I mean, okay, Ed Hardy hat, but
I was like, I think you've crossed the line in the sand there.
I'm trying to say, if you see someone that doesn't look the part, right? They don't look like you.
Yeah.
And they're outwardly expressing that they like a thing.
Yeah.
Don't assume that they're new to it or that they don't know anything. Let them ask you. Be available if that person wants information. And if they don't, there's no reason to make that person feel bad because they wore a shirt that you have feelings about. Like,
right.
Don't put your emotions on other people, and you'll be okay. If you're the person who considers yourself an authority on a thing, don't be a dick to people who aren't. And if you are not the person, be nice to people.
If they have an Ed Hardy hat, just avoid them.
You can probably avoid most people with Ed Hardy hats.
Yeah. So here's the
General
thing.
rule.
No offense.
If you I just realized I totally interneted with I just got everyone with this. So I'm either gonna get accused of being a part of the Illuminati or
no chance of that accusation.
Okay, so
Don't worry, you're fine.
so yeah, if Kurt, I run into you and you're wearing a Michigan shirt and I go, look, yeah, hey, awesome. I love the fact, we share this. That's awesome. But then I see you at work the next day and you're wearing a Michigan State shirt. I go, buddy, my friend, no.
I don't even know what any of, like, dude, I just like Vikings. Like, I just thought it was a purple Viking. Like, Vikings are cool, right? That's cool. I can wear this. I like Vikings.
I don't know. I think you'd have to probably be from Michigan.
What you were meant to get out of that is I know shit about sports and don't know what you're talking about.
I think the moral of the story is when you care about something, it's okay to feel protective of it. And it's okay to feel those feelings as long as you're not also making the person who's giving you those feelings feeling bad about themselves.
Yeah, just don't be a dick.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Nailed it.
All right. Well, that's it for today. Does anybody have any last minute additions, announcements, anything?
Come watch us play Dungeon World on the 25th at 6 p.m.
Yep.
And check us out tomorrow.
6 p.m.
We figure out what we're
Pacific.
gonna do.
For surprise game night.
Pacific Standard Time.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Well, Matt, did you write us an outro?
No.
You have one fucking job in this whole thing, production.
It's never gonna happen.
And this is like the 6th episode in a row.
Yeah.
I feel like you guys are being a little.
I'm tired of you sleeping on the fucking job, man.
I think you need to step up.
Matt, I think it's okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we're Pixel Scandal, and thanks for watching.
Thanks, Internet.